this? I did. I got to take the points deck for you.
Wow. Well, for anybody who's just listening, Steve has put together a very aesthetically pleasing slide with a microphone, and our logo, and it says 5 off-season moves that could shock the NBA.
Yes. So this is my own proprietary, I don't want to call them predictions, but maybe some possibilities that if these things happen, I think, or if a certain number of these happen, certainly don't all of these have to happen, but I think these are things that can happen that could change the landscape of the NBA into next season.
This is amazing. Steve, I got to stop you right now.
Great.
First of all, I love that you put together a deck for this and that you prepped this. This is incredible. So just know that you're making my day. But then secondly, I want to say just how funny this is that the NBA finals are about to start on Thursday. It's not even the offseason.
I know.
And it's such a non exciting, just like not what people wanted finals that we're talking about the offseason moves instead of talking about the finals. I completely agree with that because it's just not it's going to be OKC in 4 or 5.
It doesn't have juice.
It's got no juice.
It doesn't have the juice. And that's honestly when I put this idea together. It was Saturday. I think, was it Saturday when the Pacers beat the Knicks?
Yes.
And I was texting you guys. I'm like, I can't believe the fucking Pacers are going to the finals.
It's just
and then
so
I was
sad.
like, how, and we talked about it, like, this is not exciting. It's sad.
At least if the Knicks had gone, it would have been like, oh, New York is never there. Like,
yes,
they're a big,
right.
huge market.
Well,
they're never
yes,
there.
huge market, never there. Indy's never there either. But
but nobody cares. I mean,
nobody
people in
cares.
Indiana care, and that's it.
And Halliburton is probably one of the more hateable players in the NBA
because of his dad.
Well, just his whole. He just looks like a 13-year-old punk. Like, he just looks like a kid. That you just want to smack. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean, and I love that you said it. But also, I did feel bad for him at the end of the Eastern Conference Finals when he thought he was winning that MVP, and he took a step towards it.
Yeah.
When they were like, "And the Eastern Conference Finals MVP is," and he's like literally taking a step towards it, and it's Pascal Siakam.
Yeah, again, all the more reason to hate him. Honestly, I think he just got that type of mentality.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I put this together. I was like, how could we? And again, so for the listeners, check us out on YouTube. I'm going to start putting a little more pizzazz on our YouTube content. This will all be there. You'll see the hence the deck, right? So you can we'll have some visual. But these are 5 off-season moves that could shock the NBA. So Wilson, I want your reactions and give me a likelihood of you thinking or of how likely you are to think.
Can I ask a question
please
beforehand to know?
Yes.
Have you gone in and taken a look at the team's salary caps ahead of time to know if these moves are possible? I mean, anything is technically possible, but...
Bro, come on.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm
come
just
on.
making sure.
I'm a salary cap savant. I love making moves work underneath the salary cap. You think I didn't fucking look at the goddamn salary? Of course.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, some of these, I will give you a little, some of these take a little more context. Some of these are a little more ambiguous, and some of these are very specific. So we're just going to jump right into the content. So the first move that could happen this offseason that I think will shock and drastically change the landscape of the NBA is Giannis gets traded to the San Antonio Spurs.
Ooh, do you want to give any more context? Or do you want me to react?
Give me your gut reaction.
So I would personally not be shocked because of 2 reasons. Number one, I think there's something about the NBA right now where they are pushing for San Antonio to be great again.
The conspiracy theory.
Yeah, this is, and I think partially it was due to before Pop has had all of his health issues and feel bad for him, and they wanted to give him another one, and but now with him not being able to be the head coach anymore, like I still think because Wemby's there and he's the next face of the NBA, they want him to have some success. They want San Antonio. It's in the absolute best interest of the NBA
100%.
for the Spurs to be great with Wemby. We all know how rigged that draft lottery was for Dallas after they had, obviously traded Luka basically for the number 1 pick and Anthony Davis. We know that was rigged.
Yeah.
And we know it was rigged for the Spurs to get Wemby in the first place. I don't care what bogus video the NBA puts out trying to prove that the lottery was real.
Yeah, no way.
I'm not buying it. So I think that the cards are stacked in the Spurs' favor right now for them to get another great player, whether that be with above board moves that happen or if there's the NBA's juicing a little bit of it behind the scenes. But Giannis would be the perfect teammate for Wemby.
Wouldn't he?
It would be incredible. Giannis to be able to take it to the basket and then have the option to just lob it up to Wemby or dump it off or just dunk on everybody.
Kick it out to him on the 3. Like the possibilities are endless. So I will add to your juice here. This is very feasible within the salary cap. I think a trade surrounding Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, and some draft compensation for Giannis will work, right?
Don't they have to give more than that?
No.
Well, I mean, okay, let's say they give the number, because they have the number 2 pick this year.
They have to give the number 2 pick. So this is why I think San Antonio, of all the teams that are in, I mean, every team wants Giannis, right? But when you look at the situation where Giannis or the Bucks still owe first round picks to the Blazers and the Pelicans for Dame and Drew Holiday, respectively. So they don't control their own first round picks. So they could, if Giannis goes down for 30 games with a sprained ankle or something like that, Dame's out all next year, they could completely tank. They could get a top 3 pick and then hand it to the New Orleans Pelicans. So if they're going to move Giannis, it has to be something that has an immediate return. And the number 2 pick from San Antonio, go and get Dylan Harper, right? Jumpstart your rebuild. Take the number 14th pick from this year with you too, and then get the 27, 30, get a whole bunch of draft picks from San Antonio. They have plenty to spare. Get Devin Vassell and get the expiring contract of Harrison Barnes and jumpstart your rebuild. If I'm in charge of Milwaukee, I'm probably just going to do this whether or not Giannis wants it, because I think the window has just closed.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Milwaukee's definitely been in the last couple of years in downturn. They did get their championship with Giannis in 2021. Yep. So it's not like they're trying to be like, okay, we can still get this one. We've got the player.
They've tried. They can't do it.
Yeah,
it's just they're not getting across the finish line again, in my opinion.
Even with Dame and now his injury, I mean, it's just not going to happen. In the NBA of old, you win a championship with a player like Giannis, he's probably going to be on that team until the end of his career or until those last few years when he hops around. Mm-hmm. But in the NBA of old, this would not be a consideration, or it would be really shocking.
Yes.
In the 20 years ago and earlier NBA.
Yep.
But today, not shocking, and I think he's going to go somewhere, and San Antonio would really be the perfect spot for him to go.
And that's a really good setup to number 2, right? So the NBA of old, there was a time frame, I think, from 1980 something to 2005, where only 5 teams won championships. It was the Lakers, the Celtics, the Rockets, the Bulls, the Spurs, and the Pistons. 6 teams won championships in that 20-year span. And now the last 7 years of the NBA, including this season, we will have 7 different champions. There's been no repeat champion.
It's
and
wild.
Wilson, I right. And I think you know who we like in the finals this year. But item number 2 is the Thunder. After they win the championship, they go and get Kevin Durant back.
Oh, man. So, okay. I have a couple things to say about this. Number 1 is I think it's a mistake of the NBA of today where teams are giving up on players that are, majorly contributing to their championships and saying, oh, we're going to have to do a rebuild. I think they're doing it too early, in my opinion, because you look at the Spurs are a great example. I think they went from They won the championship in 2007, and then they didn't win it again until, what was it, 2014?
Yeah.
That's a long stretch. And guess who was still there when they won it in 2014?
Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan,
Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili.
Those are the guys.
Was he still there?
I think Manu might have still been there. Even if he
I
wasn't.
think he was.
The two main guys, Tony Parker and Tim Duncan, were still there. And that's a 7-year gap, right? A 6-year gap in between where they didn't win. It's like, okay, yeah, those guys still had the juice, like Giannis still will, like Kevin Durant still does.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think but it's also the players that are not willing to stay. And that's the case with Kevin Durant, and he's already shown that. He doesn't want to stay somewhere for his career. And you got to respect that too. And so thinking about would he want to go to the Thunder? I don't know, because I think he wouldn't be received with open arms.
See, that's one of my favorite things about this is that I think the fans would welcome him back.
You think so? Because I think they burned those jerseys from when he left. However, Cleveland also did that to LeBron when he went to Miami, and they loved him when he came back.
Exactly.
So I think it would be one of those things where it's like huge story, also great for the NBA.
Yep. They'll play that. They'll cut the Diddy lyrics out of that song and just do the chorus. I'm coming home, right?
Yes.
He'll do another Players Tribune article where I'm going to join the team that won the championship.
Dude.
Right. He'll do it again.
Oh,
and the Thunder, of all the teams that could get Kevin Durant, the Thunder could afford it the most and really not have a problem if it doesn't work out. They have 10 first-round picks in the next 5 years. They have Hartenstein, Caruso, Dort, Wiggins, Isaiah Joe. I think just those 5 guys make up over $100 million in salary, so they can match any deal to get back to Phoenix. Might need to get a third team involved here, but KD's only got a year left and then a player option, so he won't be terribly expensive. And I think you could really, going back to what we talked about with the parity in the league, where 7 different champions in the last 7 years, Oklahoma City, if KD comes back, buys in, and makes that team even better, now you're talking about this is a team that can be the next dynasty. And isn't that the goal of every rebuild, is to have the dynasty? Oklahoma City can do it. They got Shai locked up. They can extend Jalen Williams and Chet and then have KD and run it for the next 3 years.
I mean, 100%. There's so many things that just ran through my mind as you were talking. I'm going to try to think through all of them. Number one is this is great for the Thunder. Like, this would be an amazing move for the Thunder. I think there would be a lot of skeptics saying, well, look at Kevin Durant couldn't win in Phoenix, and he didn't do anything in Brooklyn, and he couldn't win when he was here in OKC before, so why would we want him? Well, look what happened when you added him to the Warriors. You could say, oh, they didn't need him. They'd already won before him, but they became unstoppable when they got him. There was no question that they were going to win those back-to-back championships when they got him. So you could see you add him to an already great team, becomes unstoppable.
Yep.
The other thing is, though, I mean, it's great for the NBA, but you got to think about who's it really not that great for. You could make
everybody
the case
else
that all the other teams, but you could make the case that it's not great for Kevin Durant personally if you're looking at his legacy, because currently he has a legacy of, like I just said, not being able to win unless he's on the team that already was going to win it anyways or was already there. And so if I'm Kevin Durant, and maybe he doesn't care about that, I don't know.
I don't think he cares. And he's getting too old to salvage it.
True. But if I'm Kevin Durant, I think to myself, the only time I've ever won it is with a team that had already won it and they just added me. This would be doing that again. Like, you got to consider that if you're him.
Yeah.
At least think about it, because his legacy will forever be he only wins when he goes to the team that's already winning.
Yep. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, this is all definitely a big what if, but I just don't think he cares about it that much, because his options are what? Get traded to Houston and not win it? Not win another championship?
It's true.
Like, if he wants a title, this is what the path he has to take. So I'm going to move on here in the interest of time, because we're getting a little late in the pod. My third shocker of the offseason is a surprise superstar gets traded, similar to the Luka trade. I'm thinking of someone that we didn't know was available, just kind of gets moved spontaneously. So some names I have here is Joel Embiid, Trae Young, Devin Booker, Kawhi Leonard, Ja Morant's on this list too. Guys that you didn't think were on the trade block, but the teams that they're on don't really have a set direction. And so a surprise superstar gets traded.
This is an interesting one, and there's maybe like two of these that I could see being. I don't think Ja Morant goes anywhere. He's too good and of a player, and he's also too like questionable at the same time in terms of his antics, and
Mm-hmm.
he's just now starting to prove himself again. And so I don't know that another team takes a risk on him and Memphis gets back enough for him for that. Devin Booker, I think, is also, it would be crazy for the Suns to just
I agree.
completely, like, you can't move on from that guy at this stage. It's like, unless he really wants to go. But I could see Trae Young and I could see Joel Embiid being moves that it's just like for the Hawks, dude, he's just hasn't worked. He's been there.
Yep.
He's great, but
friction with the team too.
Yeah.
Same in Philly. Like,
yep.
Just 100%. Like that, being tired of not being a championship contender.
Yeah.
Just send me to one.
Two great players that could add huge value to teams that are right there, but probably aren't going to do it on their current teams. So I could see that both of those happening.
Awesome. Yeah,
good,
I love it.
It's good.
All right. The fourth big move that could happen this offseason is I'm looking at two teams that have a core four, and Denver and New York Knicks have four max type players on their starting roster. And I think one of them break it up. And I think we've already heard, coming off the heels of Saturday night and their loss to the Pacers, there's been some frustrations with Karl Anthony Towns and his defense. Thibodeau might be on his way out. And then Denver, I mean, aside from Jokic going anywhere because he's kind of untouchable, I think that their window is also closing. And if they want to win another one with Jokic there, they might have to move on from like a Michael Porter Jr. or even Jamal Murray.
So your four in Denver would be Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, and Jokic, right?
Yeah, Jokic obviously isn't going anywhere. He's just part of that core four will be broken up.
I'd be shocked if Jamal Murray goes somewhere because
really?
Yeah, him and Jokic play so well together, and Jokic has to be really. If I was Jokic, I'd be very protective of him. He's somebody that there's not a lot of players I think that are gonna make even like a player like Jokic better. And Jamal Murray is one of those guys who is so versatile.
Okay, interesting.
Makes the right basketball play all the time, which I know Jokic he's got to have a lot of respect for that because that's what he tries to do. But Aaron Gordon or Michael Porter Jr., I don't know why you would, because those guys are so good. Like Aaron Gordon defensively, and then he can also score in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And Michael Porter, the way he can shoot the ball like so consistently and is also very tall. Like he's a tough guy to guard on the perimeter. I don't know that they find a replacement for him that makes them better. Yeah, I'd be pretty surprised about that one. And also I would be about the Knicks as well, just because of the success that they've just had in this postseason and it really being their first time being there. I think they got to run it back. Try to add without detracting. So I'd be surprised.
I think that's my only reason I put these two teams up here is that both of these teams, I think, were kind of exposed in the playoffs for their lack of depth. And they're strapped financially. It's hard to add depth pieces when you have four guys on your team making $200 million a year almost. So that's where I think that it might behoove one of them to move a starter. Like Michael Porter Jr., I think, from Denver is probably the odd man out. He's a $40 million a year fourth option.
Is he making that much? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he's $40 million a year. So I think they can move him and get two role players back, right? Two guys that can swap in. I think the Pistons are a good match for MPJ too. I think they can, that would be a place where he could come and thrive as a number two scoring option.
As long as we're not taking on, I don't know what his contract is. As long as we're not taking on like a 4 or 5 year
It's
deal.
2 years left. Yeah.
Oh,
two,
I would
2
take
years
it.
and 80 million. Yeah. Right.
I would take
and
that.
It probably wouldn't cost much to do it. So, and Jokic, I mean, the Jamal Murray thing is interesting. I've heard some chatter already that Murray might be on the block. I just don't know if Jokic cares enough. I feel like he's already off riding his horses in Serbia. Like I think he flies into Denver the day before camp and just shows up and balls.
But the thing is, though, he seems like on the court, you can tell that guy wants to win. Like he's arguing,
sure.
he's
Yes.
complaining to the officials, which means he's competitive. He wants to win.
Yes.
His heart is in it. He's playing hard.
But locker cleanout day, he goes right on his jet back to Serbia and starts brushing his horses out and doing what he does out there, right? And then no contact from the team. And I also wouldn't be surprised if Jokic is one of these guys like takes a Frank Ragnow path and hangs him up in 4 years.
Well, now that would make more sense to me than Frank Ragnow. Not to get back on Frank Ragnow.
Yeah, I know.
But Jokic has already won a championship. He's already won multiple MVPs. Like what more can you ask?
Exactly.
Than to go to a pretty small market, be the best player that's ever played there. Sorry, Carmelo Anthony, you're great, but you're not Jokic, and the best player ever played there, win them a championship and win multiple MVPs. Like, yeah, sure, hang it up in your early 30s and walk away with your hundreds of millions of dollars. That's great.
Yeah. So I just think with that being a realistic possibility is, does Denver play that card and just say, okay, we need to get more good players around him and not have less great players, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
dude,
Like, let's replace a Michael Porter Jr. with 2 really good role players.
You kind of sold me there. The other thing that I just thought of that I'll mention quickly that I think would be very diabolical, but I wonder if anybody would ever do something like this. Jokic could potentially tell Denver without telling anybody else, hey, I'm going to retire in 2 years. And like just giving you guys a heads up.
And they trade him.
And they get like 6 first-round picks.
Oh God,
dude, what is stopping them from doing that?
There'd be like some legal ramifications.
There's gotta be. Yeah.
Okay, and the last point is we had to throw our own home team into the mix here because I believe a new Eastern Conference contender emerges. This is a little bit in line with what's going on in sports radio, but I think our own take here is the Pacers in the finals. They're not some complete powerhouse team. The Knicks had their flaws. We hung in with the Knicks, and they made it to the conference finals. Jason Tatum's out for all of next year. Boston's going to look drastically different, trying to get under the second apron financially. Orlando and Detroit are really the only 2 teams in the East that are on the upswing still. And I think one move for either of those teams, or even both of those teams, could catapult them to a legitimate Eastern Conference contender.
Man, so I think this is great. And I'm loving that my immediate gut reaction in my heart of hearts is that the Pistons, I could see this for, but not the Magic. I'm so glad that it's not the other way around. And I think before this season, it would have obviously been for sure the other way around.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I could see the Magic taking that big of a step because, I mean, they've already got a Banchero and Wagner, and they were nowhere close to contending in the East. Like they were a good team. They won some games, but in my opinion, I actually was more up on them last year. I thought they were more on the rise, and this year they felt like they kind of stagnated a bit to me. I don't know what their record was year over year, but to me, the Pistons just feel like they have so much more momentum and promise. And like you said, the way we hung in against the Knicks, who, I think should probably be the team in the finals right now. It gives me really good vibes for next year. And like you said, we're one move away, truly.
Yeah, I think so too. And the only thing with Orlando, I mean, Banchero's a beast. They got Franz Wagner. And they just do have some dogs on that team, and I think they have a lot of draft capital too. Just like the Pistons, they have a lot of picks that they can move. Not Oklahoma City level picks, but they have all of their own first round picks which they can move, and assets which they can make a deal work for a star player. So I wouldn't be surprised if either one of those teams makes a big move. But I think Detroit has the better coach. I think Detroit has the better overall player in Cade, and the better financial situation to make it work, and the better complementary pieces as a whole to take a bigger leap forward. But I wouldn't be surprised if both the Pistons and the Magic end up being a top 4 team in the East next year.
Wow. Well, yeah. I mean, when you think about Boston likely not being there without Tatum, I mean, they could still be. They still have a great roster even without Tatum, which is wild.
Sure.
But yeah, you're probably right. That means we would have to overtake Cleveland, New York, and Indiana. Now, all 3 of them could not be in the top 4 in that situation if both Detroit.
2 of them could be.
2 of them could be, but one of them would not be.
Yeah, right.
And Boston would be out. But that would be, I would love it. I could see that happening if Orlando were to be also combined with your number 3 thing here with the surprise superstar getting traded. I don't know how this would work.
These aren't mutually exclusive.
Right.
So
if the finances and the players would work out for them to get like an Embiid or a Trae Young somehow, man, then they're right there.
Yeah.
They're probably a top contender at that point. So
yeah.
These were great, man. Great
awesome, dude. I love
together.
it. I had a lot of fun doing this, and I'm glad you enjoyed it and had some good basketball convo. So